Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today, mostly because we're doing something a little bit different. We're stepping away from the heavy data charts and complex theories to look at a profoundly human story. Today, we're traveling right into the bustling streets of New Delhi, India, to explore a magnificent piece of source material that paints a vivid picture of a fading art form. But more importantly, it's a story about one of the most intimate bonds two complete strangers can possibly share. We're going to dive into the life, the unyielding dedication, and the incredible legacy of the last letter writer of India. Seriously, I want you to really think about this for a second. When was the last time you trusted a complete stranger with your absolute deepest secrets? It's kind of wild to think about, right? Because in our modern world, privacy is this thing we desperately try to lock down. We've got complex passwords, two-factor authentication, end-to-end encryption, the whole shebang. But I want you to imagine, just for a moment, sitting on a busy, wide-open sidewalk. You've got horns blaring all around you, people rushing by, street vendors shouting out their prices, and right there, right in the absolute middle of all that unrelenting urban chaos, you're speaking your most vulnerable emotions out loud. You're trusting someone you barely even know to capture your raw, unfiltered feelings on a fragile piece of paper. It requires a staggering amount of vulnerability, and that vulnerability, that deeply intimate human connection, is exactly what we are exploring today. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, Sunrise in New Delhi. So, the source material paints this incredibly vivid picture of the awakening city. Imagine the authentic street ambiance of New Delhi just as the sun starts coming up. You can practically hear the distant, sharp ringing of bicycle bells, right? The heavy, rhythmic pedaling of rickshaws, and that early morning chatter just starting to build around the local tea stalls. The air smells like this intense mix of dry dust, roasted spices, and freshly printed newspapers. And right in the heart of this entire bustling morning ecosystem is our protagonist, a 76-year-old professional letter writer. Now, he isn't working in some high-rise corporate office building or a quiet, climate-controlled study. Not at all. His entire workspace is a simple, small wooden desk positioned right outside a busy post office. At 76 years old, he's this fascinating, quiet anchor in a massive sea of constant, swirling urban motion. It is just a beautiful contrast between the deafening chaos of the city and the sacred stillness of his little desk. And what is truly remarkable here is that he has been sitting at that exact same desk for more than 50 years. Half a century. Just think about the sheer volume of human experience this man has witnessed from that one specific spot on the pavement. I mean, he hasn't just been watching people walk by. He has been the silent keeper of literally thousands of private family secrets, profound heartbreaks, and overflowing joys. For over 5 decades, he's watched generations of stories unfold right in front of him. He's been this constant, steady presence while the world around him, and actually the very way that world communicates, has completely transformed. Every single morning, before the rush of the city fully takes over, he goes through this very deliberate, incredibly tactile routine. His tools are beautifully analog. We're talking heavy fountain pens, dark ink, and crisp envelopes. He carefully arranges his small wooden desk, he uncaps his ink bottles, and he perfectly aligns his stacks of paper. You can tell there is a deep, almost ceremonial respect for the craft here. He isn't just setting up office supplies, He's laying out the exact instruments needed to capture human vulnerability. He's essentially preparing a safe space, much like a therapist or a trusted confidant would, long before he welcomes his very first customers of the day. Section 2. An intimate customer bond. This man isn't just a human typewriter, he's providing a truly vital service for people who either cannot write themselves or who simply struggle to find the right words to express their complex feelings. The trust that bridges the gap across that small wooden desk is just immense. His day follows this beautiful chronological rhythm, dictated entirely by the sun and the needs of the people. From the quiet arrangement of his desk at sunrise, the day swells into this bustling midday where he just sits and listens patiently to a continuous stream of customers from the crowded streets. With each passing hour, it's not just the passing of time, it's a steady, shifting tide of profound human reliance and trust placed squarely on his shoulders, all building toward the eventual sunset and the sealing of the final envelope. And this brilliantly illustrates who exactly is pulling up a chair to sit across from him. These are rich, individual lives. Imagine a migrant worker, thousands of miles away from his home, his hands calloused from labor, dictating a vital lifeline of a letter back to the family he had to leave behind. Or picture an elderly parent carefully sounding out crucial updates to send to children living in distant cities. You've got young, nervous lovers leaning in close to whisper heartfelt notes over the deafening noise of the traffic. And you have the families of soldiers dictating letters packed with this quiet, fierce resilience and hope.
He has to seamlessly shift his own emotional bandwidth to match every single one of these distinct groups. He becomes a trusted confidant, a friend, and a vessel for all of them.
The source material challenges us to visualize this incredible dynamic not as some wide shot of a street, but through deeply intimate close-ups. So picture it, the dark ink flowing deliberately, soaking into the textured paper. Imagine the trembling, hesitant hands of a mother, finally signing her name at the very bottom of a letter to her son. Visualize the raw, completely unshielded emotional faces of his clients as they sit back and hear their deepest feelings read aloud to them for final approval. This intense sensory reality of raw vulnerability, it isn't happening behind closed doors. It is happening right out in the open on a busy, dusty sidewalk. Section 3. Ink versus instant messaging. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it frames the passage of time. Obviously, the world has changed immensely since he first set up his desk 50 years ago. The source material highlights this fascinating and honestly somewhat jarring contrast, the battle between traditional ink and instant messaging. The letter writer recalls a time when his handwritten letters were the absolute primary vessels for massive life events. We're talking grand announcements of weddings, the joyous news of births, exciting job offers, the careful planning of long-awaited family reunions. These letters were momentous. They took days, sometimes weeks to arrive. Contrast that deliberate, weighty anticipation with today's reality of smartphones. Today, a birth announcement is casually texted out while you're waiting in line for coffee, accompanied by a quick baby picture and a confetti emoji. The speed of our communication has exponentially increased, for sure, but the physical artifact, the tangible proof of that memory, has largely disappeared. Yet, the simple fact that he is still there and still has customers every single day proves a truly beautiful point. Despite the absolute overwhelming dominance of modern technology, some people still deeply value the personal touch of a handwritten letter. And why does this matter so much? Because a text message is fleeting. It can be ignored, it gets buried under 100 other notifications, or deleted forever with a simple swipe. But a letter is a physical manifestation of an intimate bond. It has real weight in your hands. It carries the faint scent of the ink, the physical pressure of the pen pressing into the paper, the undeniable effort of its creation. For his customers, it means someone sacrificed time, effort, and real vulnerability to bring that letter into the physical world. It remains an incredibly valuable way to say, you matter enough for me to take the time to do this. Section 4, sealing the final envelope. Let's move to the end of his day and see how this all builds to a close. As the day wears on, the shadows cast on the New Delhi pavement begin to stretch out long and thin. The bustling energy of the market begins to finally quiet down, settling into a much softer hum. We're approaching the emotional crescendo of our explainer. The natural lighting shifts to this rich, golden hue, and he takes his final piece of work for the day. Step 1. He folds the letter with the utmost care, actively safeguarding the intimate secrets he's been entrusted with. Step 2. He seals that one final envelope, locking those profound emotions safely away for their journey. And finally, step 3, he stands up, walks over, and places it into the iconic red postbox standing nearby. It's a wonderfully quiet, almost cinematic act of finality. He is literally sending someone else's heart out into the world. So the crucial point of this entire story is captured perfectly in a quote from the man himself. Listen to this. People think I wrote letters, but all my life, I gave a voice to hearts that struggled to find the right words. Man, that single sentence entirely reframes his 50-year career. He was never just a writer for hire. He was a translator of the human soul. He took the chaotic, overwhelming, sometimes frightening feelings of migrant workers, soldiers' wives, and elderly parents, and he gave them clarity, he gave them dignity, and he gave them a voice. Which leaves us with a pretty profound final thought. We live in an era of unparalleled, lightning-fast connection. Yet, so many of us feel more isolated than ever before. We send thousands of instant messages, fire off quick emails, and post updates, but how often do we really say what we mean? How often do we forge that deeply intimate bond? So I want to leave you with this question to ponder today. In a world of instant messages, whose heart needs a handwritten letter from you today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.